Welcome to the Global Reader. Today, we follow the footsteps of one of the 20th century's most profound moral and political leaders, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, reverently known as Mahatma or Great Soul. History is a masterclass in how to wage a successful war without firing a single shot, establishing a philosophy known as Satyagraha, the force of truth. In this narrative, we will explore the pivotal moments where Gandhi employed nonviolent resistance to challenge powerful empires. For our English focus, we will concentrate on causative verbs, make, get, and have. These verbs are essential for describing how Gandhi caused change, how he made the world listen, got the people to act, and had laws written. By mastering these structures, you will gain a crucial tool for expressing influence and command in English. Chapter 1. The making of an activist in South Africa. Mohandas Gandhi was born in 1869 in Porbandar, India. He received an anglicized education and trained as a barrister in London. In 1893, he accepted a legal contract that made him travel to South Africa, a journey that would irrevocably alter his life. South Africa was a land of brutal racial discrimination. As a young lawyer, Gandhi was quickly exposed to the deep-seated prejudice against Indian immigrants. The defining moment of his early awareness occurred when he was thrown off a train in Pietermaritzburg, despite holding a first-class ticket, simply because of his skin color. The shock and humiliation made him realize the systemic nature of the injustice. He decided not to return to India. Instead, he stayed and began a 21-year campaign against the discriminatory laws. He understood that to mobilize a community, he had to have the people understand their own power. His efforts initially focused on legal advocacy, challenging specific laws in court. However, he soon found that the system itself was designed to make these appeals fail. It was during this time that he formulated Satyagraha, a nonviolent method of political action based on truth and love. This required incredible moral fortitude from his followers. He had to get thousands of people to commit to accepting violence without ever retaliating. He would argue that their peaceful endurance would eventually make the oppressors realize the morality of their actions. Chapter 2. The Return and the Catalyst for Change. Gandhi returned to India in 1915, already an established, though modest, figure. India, too, was suffering under British colonial rule. His first few years were spent touring the vast subcontinent, observing the crushing poverty and the pervasive fear that had taken root in the population. He needed a clear issue to get the attention of both the Indian people and the British government. His first major successful campaign in India took place in Champaran, where local farmers were being exploited by British indigo planters. The farmers were forced to have their land dedicated to growing indigo, regardless of their own needs, leading to widespread famine. Gandhi arrived, launching an investigation. When ordered by the British authorities to leave, he refused. His simple defiance made the British authorities drop the case against him, as they feared a public uprising. This incident was critical. It made the Indian people see that nonviolent resistance could actually defeat colonial law. The Jallianwala Bagh massacre in 1919, where hundreds of unarmed Indian civilians were shot by British troops, was the brutal event that permanently made Gandhi conclude that cooperation with the British Empire was impossible. He shifted his focus from minor reforms to complete independence, realizing he had to have the entire nation prepare for a long, disciplined struggle. Chapter 3. Non-cooperation and the looming conflict. By the 1920s, Gandhi had become the central figure of the independence movement. His primary strategy was non-cooperation. He campaigned relentlessly to get Indian stop, caught British goods, courts, and educational institutions. This was an economic strategy designed to make the British system collapse under the weight of lost revenue and lost authority. The spinning wheel, or charkha, became a powerful symbol. Gandhi encouraged every Indian to spin their own thread and weave their own cloth, khadi, refusing to buy expensive British textiles. This single act made millions of Indians regain their economic self-reliance and cultural dignity. It was a massive, collective effort. He had to have his followers simplify their lives and embrace the discipline of simple living to support the movement. The non-cooperation movement wasn't without setbacks. Sometimes, violence erupted from the Indian side, which deeply distressed Gandhi. He believed that the ultimate success of Satyagraha depended on moral purity. If his followers were not sufficiently prepared for the discipline of nonviolence, it would make the entire philosophy fail. Following an outbreak of violence at Chauri Chaura, Gandhi famously called off the entire movement, a radical, unpopular decision that made his critics question his pragmatism. He insisted, however, that the moral preparation of the nation made the temporary pause necessary. Chapter 4, The Salt March and the Global Stage. The year 1930 brought Gandhi's most globally recognized action, the Salt Satyagraha, or Salt March. The British government maintained a monopoly over salt production and taxed it heavily, an egregious tax that hurt Separatist Indians most. Gandhi chose this common, essential item to get fueled to understand the sheer pettiness and tyranny of the British rule. At 61, Gandhi began a 240-mile walk to the Arabian Sea with a group of dedicated followers. His walk made the entire nation focus on this single act of civil disobedience. The journey was covered by global media, which made Gandhi's image travel around the world, turning him from a regional activist into an international figure. Upon reaching the sea, Gandhi illegally picked up a lump of natural salt. This simple act made the British arrest him, and over 60,000 other people followed his example across the country. The visual of the world's greatest empire making arrests over a pinch of salt brilliantly highlighted the absurdity of their position. This campaign successfully made the British reconsider their heavy-handed approach and ultimately led to negotiations. The causal verbs were essential to his strategy. He had to get the British authorities to act aggressively so that the world could make a moral judgment against them. This was the genius of Satyagraha. Chapter 5, Sacrifice and the Price of Freedom. The subsequent decades were filled with continued struggle, imprisonment, and negotiations. Gandhi never wavered from his core principles. During World War II, the British desperately needed India's support, but Gandhi launched the Quit India movement, demanding immediate independence. He believed he had to make the British prioritize India's freedom above all else. In his personal life, he practiced rigorous asceticism and fasting, often targeting the attention of both his followers and his opponents. His fasts were moral ultimatums that successfully made warring factions halt their violence or made the government retract unjust decisions. These acts of self-suffering were profoundly influential because they demonstrated his total commitment. The ultimate price of freedom, however, was the partition of India in 1947, dividing the subcontinent into India, Hindu majority, and Pakistan, Muslim majority. Gandhi, a champion of unity, was deeply saddened. He had fought relentlessly to make the two communities live together in peace, but religious fervor and political complexity made the division inevitable. In the violent aftermath of partition, while the nation celebrated, Gandhi walked the streets of Calcutta, urging calm and fraternity. He successfully got some of the most stubborn Hindu and Muslim mobs to put down their weapons through his presence and moral plea. Conclusion: the legacy of influence. Mohandas Gandhi was assassinated in 1948 by a Hindu extremist who opposed his philosophy of nonviolence and tolerance. His lasting legacy is not just the independence of India, but his invention of a potent political tool. His life teaches us the power of causation in English and in life. Gandhi used his moral force to make the powerful government bend to the will of the peaceful majority. He successfully got ordinary people to believe in their own power, and he had the world acknowledge that even the weakest can effect the greatest change. By understanding how Gandhi chose to make things happen, get things done, and have things finished, you can better understand both history and the English language. This great soul made us realize that true power comes not from the capacity to inflict violence, but from the ability to endure it with compassion.